welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 472. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games, brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, we're talking Top Gear Rally for the Nintendo 64. Later on, we'll talk about it and rank it, but I want to know, Matt, when you went to the Scholastic Book Fair, what poster did you bring home and put up on your wall?
Oh. I don't remember. I do remember buying Death of Superman comic book, though.
Ah, very nice. In the bag?
Probably not. Come on now.
Well, the Death of Superman comic, they put them in a plastic bag so that you couldn't spoil it on the newsstand. You know, if you picked it up off the newsstand at the
I don't remember that small detail. I'm going to say no, because I remember it. I would probably have put it back in the plastic after reading it. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I'm going to say no.
That's
I definitely bought a poster, though. I just cannot remember what I would have gotten.
I didn't know they were even selling that at a book fair. That's cool.
Yeah. Mark, what about you? What poster did you bring home and hang up on the old...
Didn't really get a poster from the book fair. Wasn't really into that. I was more so just like, oh, does this come with a toy? I want that. So, or like a plushie or something. But I will tell you a poster that I brought home from a carnival once that I won from darting the balloons. And it was of Jenny McCarthy. And it was specifically... Okay, it's hard to see right now in this webcam.
I already know what it looks like without even looking at it.
Yeah, she's in like a picnic pattern bikini or something, just laying in a field of flowers.
I once got the I got same game, but the poster that I decided on was the Jessica Simpson Swiffering. I forgot what cover magazine that was on at the time, but yes, I think she was in a bikini and Swiffering. Because that's how you clean around the house, right?
That's
Naked.
the only way.
Yes, that is exactly how.
Jenny McCarthy.
I didn't know who she was. I was probably like, it had to be elementary school or middle school at the highest of in this range. But I remember that, and I was too afraid to hang it up in my room. I had to keep it in my closet because my parents didn't know about it. Even though my oldest brother had a poster hang up above his bed of Carmen Electra.
Mm-hmm.
Wearing like a blue mini skirt and like a blue crop top, and she was like bent over like 90 degrees. Somehow she was able to pull that shape off. And I can't remember if it was framed or not. But I remember him like getting crap for that, but he still kept it up. And I was just like, wow, they gave him crap for that. I don't know about this poster. I don't want to add more to this fire. I'm just gonna keep it rolled up in the closet.
Yeah, you can't invite that. The decisions we make when we're children, you know?
I take it back, Jessica Simpson was not in a bikini. She was just in her underwear and a tank top.
And was she bent over 90 degrees or 98 degrees? I had the three posters I remember having from the Scholastic Book Fair were...
Those two and...
Those two. I had an Eric Lindros poster before I knew what hockey was or that the Flyers existed. I don't know why I bought it. I don't think I cared about hockey. I know I didn't care about hockey. It wasn't until I got that poster that I learned I should care about hockey. So I had that. And then I had a Porsche and a Lamborghini. It was a... Now, the colors might be wrong here in my head. I want to say it was a silver Porsche and a yellow Lamborghini poster, but the colors might be backwards. But I had each of those, and there were these like silhouette, like just the car with this like black background, real like 90s advertising kind of thing. And don't know why. I don't care.
Little highbrow moment for you. because of speaking of racing, because I've become real entriced in F1.
Entriced.
It's actually
That's the
Porsche.
word?
Yeah, I made up.
I know it's Porsche. I'm just never gonna do it.
Porsche. I'm gonna convert. I'm converting. Just like I'm spelling tire, Tyre from now on.
I think you mean convertibling.
Every time I say Porsche, in my head, there's a voice that goes Porsche, and I fight back that voice.
I want it to be mine now.
Anyway.
I want it to be mine now.
It will be.
Porsche,
yeah,
we saved you a seat over here. Over here, Porsche.
Yes. No, I know. And it's actually Lamborghini, but I'm not going to do that.
I didn't know until I didn't know about that until listening to F1 podcast 2 months ago, because Porsche and Red Bull were about to strike a deal. And it fell out.
No, I've long been around plenty of the actually types that need to constantly remind you. I get it.
It's a new world to me. I'm still getting there. So yeah, I'm learning the language.
I'm also a stickler for that kind of crap. I feel like you should call each thing by its true name, and I think you should take time to learn and understand and say things appropriately. But
I'm still saying GIF.
That one I naturally fell into the GIF camp, so that just kind of happened. But yeah, I think it's important. I just also, it'll never not be Porsche to me. Funnily enough, looking at things for what they are, this sounds like a bad segue, but it's better than you think. Top Gear Rally is the game of the week, and it has nothing to do with the Top Gear you might be thinking of with regards to cars. It's not based on that show that people like to think they like. It's based on the Top Gear franchise as developed by Kemco.
Funny enough, when I heard there was a show called Top Gear, I thought it was based off the video game franchise.
So there you go. Yeah, you went the other way with it.
Yeah, same.
Top Gear Rally, developed by Boss Game Studios, published by Midway Games for the Nintendo 64, first released in October 1997. Back of the box, first off, we've got ourselves a nice diamond-shaped warning sign that reads, "Warning! This game will drive you up a wall, off a bridge, through a guardrail, and straight into a concrete abutment."
Oh no. It went there with it.
Then, our full back of the box quote says, this is all caps, by the way. I won't scream it as it's screaming at me, but this is all caps. "Jump in, buckle up, and drive yourself insane. Top Gear Rally will have your engines revving. No options on this baby. It comes fully equipped. 9 polygon cars, 5 intense tracks, desert, jungle, mountain, coastline, and strip mined, 4 high-performance game modes, and multiple camera views. Want more? How about eye-bugging, 3D, and super real effects? Customize your car's graphics in the paint shop. Then, tweak the tranny, tires, and steering. You ready? Shift it into high gear and run on and off-road through snow, rain, fog, dirt, gravel, and mud. Watch out for those rumble pack compatible wrecks. You don't walk away from them. Top Gear Rally. It's one cool ride." I take back what I said last week about Chameleon Twist 2. Top Gear Rally's got the best back of the box description this season so far.
Really? Because it sounded like I just recapped Sunset Overdrive.
Oh, no.
Can I give a spoiler now?
Yeah.
The game does not reflect this at all.
Oh, not at all. All right, good. I'm glad we got someone on my team. Here we go.
It's like the tamest. It is the tamest
into gear here.
Game. It is the tamest racing game I've probably ever played.
Oh man, I'm so happy someone's in my court. Oh, all right. I don't want to derail.
No, go right into it. Because I've got a different perspective on this one. Not in that regard, but what I did with this game is I spent equal amount of time playing this game as I did its contemporaries. So I'm curious to hear just right now, based on just playing this game alone, where you guys sit. So, Mark, you're thinking kind of lame, tame? What's the verdict?
No, Well, just in terms of all the racers that I played, this one is probably the most chill.
Fair.
It doesn't feel too intense with the other cars. It's just kind of like as you're going, you're just gradually getting past them, and that's it. I mean, yeah, like I think the steering is the biggest challenge more than anything. But like it's not like F-Zero or like Mario Kart or it's not trying to, or like I don't know, maybe other games like Cruising USA. It's like it's not that kind of racing game where like you're expecting to like maybe collide into others, try to like destroy them or like do insane things to get ahead or something like that. It's not as high octane as like Daytona USA or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not that level of intensity. It's like a slower, even though you're going fast, it's still like a slower version of it, I feel. Also, like the game can only handle like maybe 2 cars at most at a time.
Yeah, that's an issue.
So yeah, I don't know, but so it's weird. It's like it tries to find that line between like arcadey racer versus like simulation, more realistic approach. Like you want to buy a steering wheel accessory for your console to play, which I think we had. Because when I guess I put this one on the list.
Oh yeah.
Again, this one was more so just for the vibes of this is just pure nostalgia at this point is why I picked it. Not that I had the fondest memories of playing the game, but the atmosphere of the game stuck out to me for some reason, and I know that's going to sound weird because these levels aren't anything like over the top or quirky like Chameleon Twist or something that that we just played. These are just basic landscapes, like something that you probably, minus the, I guess that temple one, but like stuff that you would probably normally see out in the world. Like there's nothing unrealistic about most of this. But yeah, so I gotta set the scene, and then we can move on. There's that little that little winter break around Christmas time, as when you're a kid, and it's either it's either a video game rental or it's a gift from a relative, or it's both. Someone gifted you a rental. It's like the weather kind of sucks out or something. Or like you're trying to find something to play. You have like 365 hours in a day, it feels like, at that point. This is one of the games that would just be popped on for some reason. And I think because of my brother's influence of being heavy into racing games, and we had that steering wheel accessory and stuff, I would play a lot of these games. And so this was being one of them, but I just remember the scenery of like it being foggy, driving through the tunnels, there's the lighthouse, there, just going through all that. I think I remember that more than anything. And just something about playing it around that time just felt cozy. And then fast forward to now, I still like the scenery, but man, the gameplay was a challenge to understand.
So
a little bit, at least at first.
Did you feel the same way, Matt?
So, I think I kind of, the word rally, I think kind of set some expectations for me there. I kind of knew this would be more about drifting, turning, probably more so than top speed and overpasses. So like once I got into the game and I started like seeing like how like not slippery, but like how delicate, and that's probably where like the hardest thing to master in this game, and that makes sense, in a term called rally. But like Mark said, it never feels fast, and I think that's my biggest gripe with this is the speed. Especially when we compare it to things we were playing already this year, like Burnout. I mean, that's not even fair, but like Mario Kart, I feel is faster. just a couple other games I've been playing this year myself. It felt and like it's I mean, you're gonna talk so I've only played Top Gear 1. I have not played the other predecessors, but like even compared to Top Gear 1, this is slow. Now I know, like I said, I understand Rally. It's a different vibe, but like 150 in Rally versus 150 in Top Gear 1 on SNES feels a lot different.
Real quick, I just want to ask, did anyone else, when Matt said slippery, think he was going to say Slipknot for some reason?
No, I should have, but I was thinking of the tire choices between normal, slippy, and grippy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can set those up as you want. So funnily enough, I kind of appreciated the speed in this game, not in the sense that, because I agree, the game feels slow. However, I did appreciate speed in terms of progression through a race. I think that a lot of arcade style racing games often propel you forward quickly, and it's all about maintaining that upper 1, 2, 3 of placement in the race. And I feel like sometimes games like this, you can very quickly jump from 16th to 1st, stay in 1st, and leave everybody behind you once you kind of get a good mastery on the game. I felt like no matter what I was doing in this game, for as long as I'd played it, I was always earning my placement each time. I had to really fight to get past the next car and rank up to the next place before the end of a 3-lap race. I don't think I ever got first place once, simply because of like trying to like drive appropriately and effectively. And I don't know. It just, I always felt like I was not good enough in the best way. Like I felt like it was going to be like a thing I had to earn rather than just like it happened and now I'm there.
I got first maybe like a handful of times, but then like sometimes you would get a race where you hit one polygon by like a pixel and then your whole car flips around and then you got to try to straighten that out. And this is one of those games where braking does not equal reverse. You actually have to hold back on the joystick.
God, that threw me off the first time it happened.
Oh, and that's how you reverse. I never figured it out. Okay.
Yep. And then
I was trying to down gear. Like in I play F1, on the steering wheel. You have to down gear out of one, neutral, then reverse. So I was trying to not work.
No, yeah, trying to do a 3-point turn with just a N64 joystick is something.
Yeah. It's a different, yeah. I did really like that, depending on terrain and where you were, it did feel like it affected your speed. It affected your progression. And this game does account for suspension in the car. They built that into the engine so you can you can see the car moving as you're driving over certain spots. I thought that was a nice touch, especially considering where we were. This was the N64, right? This is not PS2. If you even go back to like Gran Turismo, there was not a lot of, there was, but like you think of Gran Turismo as the one, and Gran Turismo 1 didn't have that fully, it was good. I'm not trying to say Gran Turismo was not good, but yeah, I mean, this did some things for sure.
No, I was going to say, I was shocked when I went into the championship and,
I get it. Shocked. Shocks.
Suspension.
Yeah. Okay. I was surprised when I saw transmission and, suspension were choices,
Yeah.
I expected tires, I think, right? But
yeah.
not transmission and, suspension.
Did anyone, you said, Matt, you played manual transmission?
First race I did automatic, and then I said give me a challenge, so I went to manual. Yeah.
How was that in this game? I did not end up trying it in this game.
Fine. I'm new to it in general in games, switching to manual transmission. I really just started with Gran Turismo, or what a number are we on PS5? 8, 7? Sure. I really started for the first time like late last year with it, experimenting. So I can't tell you like short shifting it worked here better than actual shifting. It adds another level of challenge, right? So like you have to, if you do wreck the car, if you're in fourth gear, you're not going to accelerate nearly as fast. You have to pay attention to downshifting, and it's tough to. It's kind of tough to learn the course while doing manual transmission. I like the aforementioned like Gran Turismo or F1. I like to kind of go around the circuit in automatic just to get the lay of the land on turns and what speeds I should be at, and then layer in manual transmission. So I was trying to do both at the same time here, and it probably shot me more in the foot than whatever. But I can't say short shifting was successful, or I noticed a huge acceleration boost going from third to fourth. I think it was your standard fare.
Mark, do you feel like you had a good time choosing between 9 ripping polygon cars?
How about the Porsche?
At first, because if you just jump into the arcade mode, you're limited with only just 2 cars, so you have to play the career to get the other cars unlocked. And I think I made it to season 3. That's how far I got, and then I got the car that has the Nintendo Power logo on it, and I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. I'm awful with this car, but I like this design. They're fine. And all the insane cool camera angles that was advertised. It always starts off in first person, and I don't care for that. So I had to back that out immediately. C down was my choice.
Yep. Same.
But C left was cool too, just to have the rear view mirror up.
Yeah, that was neat.
And seeing the hood of your car and stuff. So that's when you have the steering wheel, maybe that's a little more immersive for the time.
Yeah, that feels better there.
But without it, definitely I have to see the whole car for this. And the one thing about the cars that can be brutal if you're not good at the game is that the physics of it all, like when you're damaging your car and you really start to feel it, where like it gets harder, or like your car starts to lean more a certain way when you're turning or whatever, you got to deal with that the rest of the race. And these aren't short tracks. Like these are kind of lengthy.
Yeah, these are like 8-minute races for the most part.
And
right?
Yeah, so it's like for the career, it's like 3 laps. So in arcade, I was shortening it to like 2 at the most.
Oh, smart.
Just to get it, it felt just right doing that. But yeah, to do 3 laps with a car you probably busted up in lap 1 if you're like me, and it's a rough ride if you don't know the shortcuts either.
So I was gonna go finish your thought.
I was just gonna ask if any of you were looking for those.
I found it in the first level. I really couldn't find any in the other ones I played.
They're not as noticeable for sure. Yeah, like that first one with the beach, right? There's the broken rail, and you just kind of go
easy,
through.
Yeah.
Yep. It always gives you at least 2 places up every time you take it. The second stage, it doesn't look like it would be one, but I guess it was one. There's this like dirt path that leads to a house, but the path keeps going past the house. It passes another house, and it feels like you're going backwards at this point because you're kind of going the opposite direction, but somehow you end up like one place ahead or something. It's not worth it because you have to make like a sharp right turn basically. But it was cool that it was there. I was like, I'm just gonna see where this goes.
It's nice that stuff's in there and not just because of the era. You could have just slapped down a track, called it a day, and shipped it, right? It would have been acceptable. But yeah, that.
I was going to ask. So I played. I'm repeating myself. I played Top Gear 1. Joe, you said you played the other predecessors. So do they have pit in all of those games?
I did not play the this is the only one of the series. I was playing other games released at the same time.
Okay, sorry. All right, so what I thought was weird about the car damage and an effect in driving is Top Gear 1 has a gas meter, and your gas, like if you hit other cars, like you lose gas. I guess that's like a penalty. So you can't take damage, SNES limitations, but they remove gas from your car, so you might have to pit twice. In a race, you have to pit once. I thought it was weird that there's damage, but you can't pit to like fix the damage. Right. Now, I haven't played Top Gear 2, and I think there's another one on SNES, so I think this is like the fourth one in the series. I'm not sure, but it was weird that Top Gear 1 had a pit lane for like a similar kind of health system, really. It wasn't just for, gas or whatever, but then this had a more robust health system in a way, and you couldn't fix your car. I mean, I know it's unrealistic. It takes time to, hammer out dents and shit, but, like, it's a video game at the same time. Come on.
Yeah, that would have been a welcomed add to this, but yeah, I guess it.
And I guess that's like another example of it being like a weird line between simulation and arcade. Is like on top of the shortcuts, felt very arcadey to me. But like with the crashing, I think if they were to go all the way with it, I feel like your car should just be done in maybe 2 hits or something. Unless these cars are built more durable than I'm realizing. But like, if we want to go full simulation, this car would have been totaled for me the second I ran into a guardrail and like a tire would have popped off, or you know what I mean? Like something, the windshield would have been cracked. I wouldn't have been able to see, like just would have been totaled. And then that would have been the end of the race right there or something. But having a pit would have totally been something to aim for with all this.
The car on the cover of this game always reminded me of a game I had for N64 called Off-Road Challenge. I don't know if you guys remember Off-Road Challenge. It was an arcade game by Midway, and then the N64 version was developed by Avalanche Software. Which,
So, I think...
that it's that Avalanche.
I'm looking... oh, no, that's not going to get me anywhere.
You're looking at Off-Road Challenge?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, same thing. This is a weird... All right, so I played the SNES version of both these franchises. Super Off-Road, I owned and played a lot of.
Was it the Baja?
No, I think that's the sequel.
That's the one I had growing up.
Yeah, there's Super Off-Road and Super Off-Road, the Baja.
That was insane.
It's a top-down racer. It's unique there. But we're talking about Top Gear, so maybe stay tuned for season 11. Go ahead. What were we gonna say about? I cut you off, I think.
Oh, me? No, just that it reminded me of that game, and like I think this one, from my memory of Off-Road, I did not revisit Off-Road for this time around, but my memory of it is that one was a bit more wild and goofy off-road, where this one felt more grounded, I think, across the board.
As soon as the game offers you suspension choice, you should expect simulation. I think...
For some reason, I didn't.
That's not a knock on. I'm just like that. Yeah. I think my expectations changed as soon as I saw that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is one of these. Okay, let's.
I mean, like
head
now,
down.
I totally get that.
Right.
Back then, I didn't understand.
Oh, right.
Any of that lingo.
Well, to be fair, the original Top Gear, there's no automatic transmission. You have to do a manual. Mm-hmm. I am pretty sure as a kid I did not realize that and just drove in first gear the entire time. Then that explains why I always came in like 16th.
I probably would have done the same.
But like, I had big expectations because I played a lot of Top Gear. First one as a kid, and I liked that game a lot, despite being frustrated for the aforementioned. I'll always finish in 16th and didn't realize why. At the young, ripe age of probably like 6 or 8. But like, one thing that stuck out to me the most was that game. One, it starts off with a banger of music. and the music does not, like, it never steps from that 10 that it starts off with. So, like, I immediately was like, all right, I'm expecting great music. Nothing iconic here, kind of just your regular run-of-the-mill stuff. I don't know. At least none of the tracks I played, I got anything iconic. And then the other thing was Top Gear that first one felt fast. And I think a lot of it is because of just, like, the SNES and the way they designed the levels, like, the way they put the white, like, lane markers, the way they rapidly went by the screen, I think just gave you the illusion of you're just going so fast. And it was just a smart decision. And it just, that didn't carry over here either. So then the other thing that the SNES game does, which I thought was kind of cool, even if you play first or just one player, it's always split screen. Car up front or car up top, car on bottom. And they kind of treat that second player computer as like your rival. They're like, it's so set up the same way. There's 20 places. You'll start in the back of the grid and you kind of have to work your way up through the cars. But like the computer always kind of stays right around you. There might be like 2 or 3 places up, 2 or 3 places back, depending on how you're performing. But like they are always constantly challenging you for the same place. Kind of like you said, like when you kind of leave a car, like once you get past a car, they kind of leave them in the dust. That was like the other 18 cars, but this one always stayed with you to give you that racing mentality of like, if you screw up, someone's going to come from behind. This one tried to do that, and I just didn't like the way they approached it. Like, there was like the yellow cars that seemed to kind of keep pace with you a little bit, and then there was like the back marker purple cars that you just kind of flew right by, and there wasn't like a rival in the sense. And I don't know, that was something that, again, from the SNES one, I thought was a cool little, like, just to keep you honest, and you know, not just once you get first place you win. Like, you still have to race against the computer player. And I think like the last point here, and I already brought it up, was the pit lane stuff. I really liked the fact that there were races, and it's not the first couple, it's just to get your feet wet. They'd let you finish unless you really crash your car. But in that, like, there's races where you have to legitimately time your pit for the appropriate amount of gas. And there was a mechanic too where you would see the gas meter fill up, but once you hit accelerate, you would leave the pit lane. So if you felt like you only needed like half tank of gas, like you could and then go. It was like a strategy play almost. Again, really neat idea. Especially with the damage in this game, I thought that would kind of come into play, and I did not see that, at least in the races that I did. So it seems like to go to the next step of 3D graphics, we left a lot behind, which is something you see all the time. Really, like, think of every Madden or NHL game. Whenever they make the jump to next gen, half the features and modes don't come with it. It becomes a big deal 2 years later when they bring the modes back. It's just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the fun of that first game kind of got left behind here. And then on top of that, it's a slower racer compared to most other racers that I've played.
Yeah, it kind of gives me the vibe of, like, you can tell that they had a goal in mind when making this game, and I feel like they wanted to do so much more, but just couldn't, either because of time or because of the limitations of, like, the system, or probably both, is what I'm guessing. But yeah, like, I definitely get those vibes that, like, this was maybe not quite their vision that they had wanted, but I can see the potential of it being there.
So that's where, because I had similar feelings, and I was looking at its shortcomings, and I really wanted to get back into the headset of what was this game like in its time. So playing contemporary games, I think this does rank a bit higher. Gran Turismo is still Gran Turismo. I don't think, like, in terms of racing simulation, even that first game was incredible in terms of capturing that. So that's, like, it's a tough one to crack, and that was also a 5-year development cycle. Like, Gran Turismo is a different beast. But looking at some other things, like looking at just the N64 in that era, in fact, in the exact same magazine that Top Gear was reviewed, you also had reviews for Diddy Kong Racing, San Francisco Rush, And
did you have a Colin McRae in there?
You probably did. I didn't go too far. There were a lot of like racing games, like PS1, random whatevers. But Automobili Lamborghini was not reviewed in this magazine, but there was an ad for it. Then it was called Lamborghini 64 in the ad, and it just said,
I definitely played that.
Yeah, like don't miss out on this one or something like that.
That was fun.
So I played that, and it was fun. However, immediate thing I noticed, I rocketed to the front of the race and kept it. Terrain meant literally nothing. You could just drive. I was taking turns on the grass because I knew it would let me pass two cars. And it didn't matter at all. It did not slow you down one bit, whether or not you were driving on rocks, on grass, on road, on anything.
That's how real cars act, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I get just as good acceleration in an F1 car in the gravel than I do on the road, you know.
That
doesn't matter.
It sounds like a negative, but it's a positive in my book.
Right, yeah. If you cut through the gravel as shortcuts, you don't realize that.
It's true. But yeah, I mean, comparing it to those specifically, like jumping in and playing the Lamborghini game was the one I probably spent the most time with. But San Francisco Rush also, I mean, it's a different vibe. It's just it's an arcade game.
That one's all about tricks and stuff.
Yeah, but I think that Automobili Lamborghini lines up pretty well with this in terms of like being a 64 racing game that is aimed at being kind of towing the line between arcade and simulation and whatever. And this one, I think, beat for beat, does it better. The other thing with Lamborghini that I noticed is how touchy the control stick was. If you just subtly tilted to the right, it felt like you were not only pushing all the way to the right, but that you had swung left and then right hardcore. Like just by like moving it to the right, like 20 degrees of the rotation. The Lamborghini game, you're just like poof, 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 all over the road. Where this one, it felt like you really needed to like intentionally make your turns and things like that. And for that, I really appreciated it in the end.
It almost it almost remembered. It almost like recentering, or talking about Top Gear. It almost did like a recentering where like it will remember your turn point, so that way you can kind of keep flicking over and go to stages of the turn. Which, again, I think that's the most polished mechanic is the driving on the corners, which for a rally game makes. I'm glad they focused there, right?
Yeah, but this, you know, I liked it, and it did make me want to revisit other racing games of that era. I've long been like a champion of, and by long been, I mean like ever since I think John Linneman talked about it a couple years ago. Maybe I don't know when, but Ridge Racer 4 has been the one where I've like super sung its praises since I really got into it. I think first playing it on the Vita. But that one was one. It didn't come out here until May of 99, so it would have been a little bit later. But, you know, that one's got similar, like, turn intentions. You have to be very specific with how you drive. And I don't know. Those early days of 3D video games where they were, like, I think developers were comfortable in that space, but still learning and trying different things. I think it's a good era to go back to. And I think that Top Gear Rally is a solid game, solid time.
Yeah, I think this also might have been a result of my memories being mixed up. Because as I'm remembering this game back then, I don't know if I'm confusing it with Beetle Adventure Racing.
Ooh, what's that?
Yeah, that one gets talked about a lot, and I think I maybe rented that one.
Yeah.
I remember this box art.
Yeah. Like, see, I remember the box art more than anything, and the title, and then like when you first start off the game, you know, there's the I forget what it's called, just where you just see footage of the game,
the demo
before you start. Yeah. and like the title
mode.
comes up. Yeah, detract. Thank you. And you just hear Beetle Adventure Racing, and then you get into it. And yeah, and for our listeners, yeah, you're only Volkswagen Beetles in this game, but some of the scenery was another thing like that stood out to me, and I think there are similar designs with their tracks and stuff, and so I might be crossing these two games together in my mind, and I think that's why I leaned more towards this one, I guess. But because now I don't know if I'm thinking more of Beetle or if it really was Top Gear. Couldn't tell you.
I think just remembering this game and how much time I put into, I think nostalgia got the best of me here, right? I think like I remember Top Gear kind of fondly, besides finishing 16th every race. But like I remembered stuff from it, and it's memorable. And I remember I couldn't probably hum you the tracks, but I could tell you they were all bangers at like ages. I remember it from being like that young, but I think I expect, like, I was like, all right, man, this is the 64 version of it. This is the next evolution, and it felt like a step backwards in a weird way, and I think that's where my disappointment lies. As a standalone game, I could see where, like, what Joe's saying, like, it probably stands the test of time compared to what was around it at that point, but I think the sequel aspect for me is what disappoints me.
Yeah, I think for a game like this, I don't think there were many more realistic racing games on the 64. It just might have been one of the very few, like, especially for like, because Lamborghini I don't really consider, I guess, the same kind of racing car as the cars in Top Gear Rally.
No, not at all.
Well, it's a Porsche.
Right. But like for Top Gear, these cars are actually built for the sport, so like, and I don't remember if there were any. There probably was. There had to have been. There had to have been some kind of F1 game for the 64.
Oh, I'm sure there was. Was it good? I don't know. But...
Probably called F1 64.
But like,
I think F1 pole position.
Yeah, like that sounds. That might be a thing.
It is. No, I'm looking right at the title card.
Yeah. So like, it's probably more comparable to something like that, and I don't think those really existed on the 64 that much, which I guess is what you were pointing out, Joe. There's just more like, arcadey kart racer type things, which is what I guess a system could probably better handle. But yeah, for giving a game like that, I think it's cool that it does exist. It's cool that there is that type of game out there for someone on that, if they only had that system, like it's cool to have the option and the variety there. But it is a little more on, I guess, the casual side, which isn't bad. I
love the approachability of it.
Yeah, like even though like it's not many cars that you're going up against at a time, or it's not, it's not super hectic, you kind of get to enjoy the very barren scenery.
Yeah.
Even though, I say that it sounds negative, but that's mostly why I picked this, just to revisit that visual style, because I just nostalgic for it. There is something like relaxing about it at the same time, as long as your car isn't messed up. But there's something about just cruising by. Doesn't matter like just what place you're in, just trying to get those turns right.
No, I think that it silently kind of set the standard for what I would hope all car racing games would have done in the coming generations in terms of handling. Like, it feels good to drive the car, generally speaking, and they do take other things into account while you're driving. And I think, that approachability aspect of this is welcomed, because you can just kind of jump in and race, and it felt good to do that. There's some games, the more I've gone backwards and played things on PS1 and N60, well, not a ton on N64, but PS1, really, some of those racing games, there's a lot of them that just, like, you immediately know, like, nope, this feels like crap. This is not even a car. This is just a box moving on the screen. This is a rock that someone programmed. And this does not feel like that at all. The cars feel dynamic. They feel like they're shifting and moving, and it's I think, overall good feeling game. I'm curious if either of you had played. So this was published by Midway, produced by Chemco, but developed by Boss Game Studios. Did either of you play any of Boss Game Studios' other video games? Don't look them up.
I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure what else they've done.
Well, in the last year, I have checked out the first video game developed by Boss Game Studios, not knowing that this was a related developer. But Spider, the video game for PlayStation, I checked out. Where, yes, Matt,
is that the spider with guns?
Yep, that's the one. You're like working your way through a lab as a spider, and
I've only seen the magazine advertisement. I've never.
Yeah, he's got a gun coming off of one of his arms and a knife coming out of his.
Jesus, yeah. I would look at that box art. There is no way I buy that game.
The game looks nothing like it, but the game's actually pretty cool. Like it's a cool 2.5D platformer. I don't know. It felt good to play. It's a little like the jumps never feel like they're going quite as far as they should, that kind of stuff. But like you're a spider, right, and it's neat. Boss Game Studios would make a couple other things.
Look at that main menu. Oh, sorry, I'm looking up gameplay of this.
Menu. You should play.
This is.
Stay tuned for season 11. That's all I gotta say.
Jeez, this looks bad. We talked about Gex last week. This looks just as bad as that.
So I'm going to read a quick. Boss Game Studios shut down in 2002, and I have an archived interview, or rather some quotes from an article from IGN talking to Boss Game. Says here, Boss Game told IGN today that it has officially ceased as a company as of this afternoon. Development on its Xbox Racer has been terminated. Quote, "It was a ton of fun while it lasted, and we appreciate the support everybody gave us," said company president Colin Gordon. "The feedback on World Driver Championship was terrific. We still get people asking for World Driver on GameCube. World Driver Championship was an N64 game that followed development on Top Gear Rally. Finally, on the Xbox Racer, Gordon said that it was progressing nicely, but that Boss Game just couldn't find a publisher for it. Quote, "In our view, it would have been the best Xbox Racer to date. It was running at 60 frames per second. It had 25,000 polygon cars along with full scene reflections, skinned drivers, and more," he noted. Quote, "We had flag wavers and birds on screen. We had leaves on the tracks that would blow up as cars drove by. More leaves on the track than there were polygons in a World Driver track." Gordon said that at one point, Boss Game ported the racer to GameCube in a period of 5 weeks. However, the company never pursued the option of publishing it for Nintendo's next generation console. So that game he's talking about there, the Xbox Racer, what would turn out to be Forza Motorsport 1. Boss Game Studio had been approached by Xbox in 2000 to develop games for Xbox. They started work on Forza Motorsport, never found a publisher for it, and eventually Turn 10 Studios would take over development and release the game in 2005. But yeah, Boss Game shut its doors June 14th, 2002, and scattered to the wind. But yeah, I thought interesting that the same DNA found here in Top Gear Rally would eventually make its way into Forza and kind of set the precedent for where we are today. And Forza ended up being kind of the main rival to Gran Turismo in terms of simulations, though.
Hopefully the DNA continues into, a Spider sequel.
If we got a Spider sequel, I'd be so happy.
There's no way.
This is the part of the podcast episode where we rank the week's game against the rest of our lists, which you can follow along at thefreecheese.com/thelist. To date, we've got 35 games on the list. We're adding our 36th. I
actually don't know.
I'm thinking New number 20. Right below Star Fox Assault, just above Minish Cap.
Joe, I think this is the first time in a long while we have not been within one or two of one another.
Where are you at?
I think I said the same exact thing last week, but above Gauntlet.
I guess looking at the things yeah.
Huh. I think I'm between y'all.
Where are you at?
I'm in the... Maybe, shit. Either between ESPN Football and Peggle, or between ESPN Football and PsyOps.
ESPN Football is that one I'm kind of like looking at, I think, as like its closest, right? Because we talked about this being potentially simulation racing, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking like simulation sports, and I think just like in terms of like staying true to simulation, whatever sport, just ESPN is like the pinnacle of a football game.
Yeah, ESPN definitely.
I don't know. This is like the pinnacle of a racing game. Now, granted, it is from the era, but
I guess my mind at first was like, do I put this between Perfect Dark and PsyOps? Because I was like, would I want to play Perfect Dark more than this? I don't know why that was my for some reason that was my decision maker here.
To be fair, though, what part of Perfect Dark are we talking about? Because if you're telling me to play the campaign again, I don't want to do that. So
yeah, I mean, I was just assuming campaign. I don't know. Yeah,
Perfect Dark's a weird one. PsyOps, again, I think that game's fun. It's just for how long is it fun?
Yeah,
right. It's weird that I agree with both of yours placements.
Well, honestly,
I'm not mad at where Joe put it either. I'm just like, I think my bookmark, I guess, is ESPN Football. I think it's the easiest. It's not an easy comparison, but it's the easiest.
I think the thing with any of the places we've put it, it's the things you start looking at below where like, yeah, I will put it above Minish Cap, but then I think like Devil's Crush is better than this. Like, I don't know. We keep coming back to Devil's Crush.
And listeners should know by now, every time we go into this, it's like we might have a place in mind at first, but then it ends up changing. At least I change mine a lot.
This is the one I'm feeling the biggest like rubber band on.
I think I'm leaning more towards Matt's.
And are we thinking like down in the Gauntlet Seven Sorrows area? Like,
yeah.
Do we like it above Gauntlet or below Gauntlet?
Above.
Do we like it above Chameleon Twist 2 or below Chameleon Twist 2?
I think it's below.
I'm going to say above.
We can go above. That's fine. You can flip a coin with Chameleon Twist.
Do you like it above or below Devil's Crush?
Below.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm hesitating. Yeah, below.
Now this gets interest. Okay, all right, there it is. We say it gets interested in the next game.
So I would put this above Peggle.
Right, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
In terms of this versus Chameleon Twist 2, I feel like this one is way easier to just jump in and start having fun with than Chameleon Twist 2 because Chameleon Twist 2 is weird in a good way, but it's very like you've got to really start to wrap your head around that game. And again, I mentioned it last week.
Both have long tracks.
That they both have that. But I never felt like I was getting good at certain aspects of Chameleon Twist 2 where I felt actively getting better at Top Gear Rally.
Yeah, every turn, in every lap, you felt a little bit more comfortable around that track. I mean, that's kind of, I guess, every racing game in a way, but yeah, there's an immediate, like, okay, I'm getting better at this than...
Yeah, but later levels in Chameleon Twist 2 didn't feel any
Later levels, the practice rooms, dude. I couldn't even get out of them. Yeah, I agree with. Yeah, the pick up and play is a thing here, I think.
Do we think above Chameleon Twist 2, below Devil's Crush?
That's what I'm.
Yeah,
that's what I'm settling.
I'm happy with that there.
The Devil's Crush line, dude.
Hey, it used to be. Wasn't it a different game that was the gatekeeper?
Devil's Crush has been a gatekeeper in many ways.
Or wait, was it always Devil's Crush?
It might have been.
You might be thinking of last year. What was it was Celeste. It was last year.
You're right. I was. Yep.
And then we needed a tiebreaker. We would always go to soundtrack, and Celeste would probably win.
Yeah. Well, there's
always one.
Yeah, there's our updated list. 36 games down.
Man, we're under 10, right? Yeah, under 10 to go.
Yeah.
Wild.
Now, astute listeners who are smart and know how the calendar works might be saying under 10. That doesn't make any sense. There's more than 10 weeks left in the year. And to that, I'd say you're probably correct. More than likely, you are correct, listener. But next week, we're not actually covering a game. Next week, believe it or not, is October 3rd. And it's now been, the month of October will be 10 years of the Free Cheese Podcast. Sure, we went by a different name back then and have changed things up several times since in format and whatnot, but we're going to talk about all of that next week on our 10th anniversary show, where I've gathered some trivia and some data to throw at y'all and have fun with, and we'll just look back and have a good time, and yeah, I don't know. We'll do that. So yeah, come back, check us out for that one. And I guess during that we'll reveal the game after. Unless you want to reveal the game after now. I'll leave it up to you guys.
Oh, there's that awkward thing where I don't know what it is.
I got it right in front of me.
Oh, God.
Oh, I know it. I've been waiting for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was here.
Do we want to say what it is, or do you just want to leave everyone hanging on the Matt being depressed now that he's realized what's coming up? I say leave the cliffhanger. Stay tuned for episode 473, our 10th anniversary spectacular, and after that, we'll let you know what's left to come. Until then, be sure to tell your friends about the Free Cheese Podcast. We're 10 years old, but that don't mean it ain't time to grow and find more friends to hang out with. I think this year more than ever is a great time to recommend the Free Cheese Podcast, because it's pretty easy to just throw an episode at somebody. Not that it wasn't before, but, someone might look at the episode and say, well, I haven't listened to the other 471. But now you can just kind of say, hey, I know you're a big fan of Cool Spot. Let me tell you about this podcast. They're called The Free Cheese. Yeah, we've got, I think this year more than ever, we've got something for everybody. Anyway, we're back next week to talk about anniversary stuff. Until then, podcast@thefreecheese.com is an email address you can send questions or recommendations or whatever you want to. If you want to talk about a game we've already talked about, if you want to tell us where we're wrong in a ranking, do that there. Go to thefreecheese.com. Tell your friends about thefreecheese.com. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. See you next week. Bye.